Stand strong, don't get into dreams tonight. Turn the pages, hit the light.
Hey there, and welcome back to the Deep Dive. Get ready, because today we're plunging into a world that has, well, truly captivated millions. A global phenomenon.
Absolutely. We've been working through this really comprehensive analysis guide.
Yeah.
It's packed with the kind of stuff that helps you see beyond just the surface level of something this massive.
Exactly. Today, we're taking that deep dive into the incredibly popular world of Naruto. And our mission really is to sift through all the lore and facts in this guide, pull out the most important nuggets for you, help you understand why it became such a global thing, and, uncover some genuinely fascinating bits about how it was made, its impact, basically what this analysis tells us.
Okay, so let's maybe set the stage first. The basics are important, I think, just to frame the scale we're talking about in the analysis.
Good idea.
So the creator, Kishimoto Masashi, the manga ran for a long time, 1999 to 2014. That's, 700 chapters plus a side story? Huge run.
And the anime kept pace, didn't it? Kicked
It
off
did.
in 2002, went all the way to 2017 if you include Shippuden.
Yeah, and the story's still going with Boruto. Shows you how much legs this universe has.
It really does.
And the scale. The guide mentions over 250 million copies sold worldwide.
Wow.
That number alone, it tells you this isn't just popular, it's a cultural force, right?
For sure.
And the guide analyzes his genre mix too. It's got everything. Ninja action, obviously, but also stories about growth, politics, friendship, big wars, even like philosophy.
Yeah, it's fascinating how the source breaks that blend down. It describes the world itself. And ninjas aren't just, sneaky spies. They're basically superpowers, part of national military strength.
Belonging to countries, going on missions, fighting wars, all that.
And the whole thing centers on one kid, Uzumaki Naruto from the Hidden Leaf Village. The guide nails his core goal right away. Become the Hokage, the village leader.
But the analysis points out his big burden immediately. He's got the strongest tailed beast, the 9 tails, sealed inside him. And the source argues that this isn't just like a power source. It's why he has this incredibly lonely childhood, facing discrimination. It shapes everything about him, his drive.
Yeah, it makes sense.
And the guide then traces how the story just expands. It starts personal, his struggle for recognition, but the analysis shows it growing into this epic about bonds, mentors, massive conflicts like the Shinobi World War.
Right, even digging into his parents' past, uncovering these huge world truths.
Exactly. The source really emphasizes that growth from personal to global as key to why the narrative works so well.
Absolutely. And speaking of narrative success, the characters. The guide spends a lot of time analyzing them. These aren't just plot devices, they drive the themes. So let's dive into who this analysis highlights and maybe why.
Well, obviously, Uzumaki Naruto is front and center in the analysis. His birthday is October 10th, but the guide looks deeper and how his signature moves, Shadow Clone, Rasengan, then later Sage Mode, Kurama Mode, Six Paths Mode, they aren't just cool techniques. The analysis argues they actually manifest his character, like shadow clones. It tackles his loneliness by literally creating companions. The Rasengan shows his grit, mastering something complex through sheer will.
It's a great way to look at it. Techniques reflecting his inner struggles. The guide also talks about his personality, right? How his bright exterior hides that loneliness, that anger.
And a really interesting tidbit the analysis brings up. Apparently, an early concept had Naruto as more of a cool type character.
Really?
Yeah, and the source points out that would fundamentally change the whole underdog dynamic, that search for connection that defines him. Big difference.
Wow, yeah. What about Sasuke, his rival?
Uchiha Sasuke, born July 23rd, analyzed naturally as Naruto's foil. The guide connects his techniques, Chidori, Amaterasu, Susanoo, eventually the Rinnegan directly to his quest for power, all driven by revenge.
The source paints him as calm, brilliant, but his whole arc is just shaped by tragedy and that one single drive, isn't it?
Pretty much. The guide even mentions that rumor about his design influences, like maybe he and Kurama from Yu Yu Hakusho, analyzing how that might have fed into his cool, sort of darker vibe.
Interesting. And Sakura, where does she fit in the analysis?
Haruno Sakura, March 28th. Her journey, according to the guide, is really significant. It sort of challenges the typical shonen female roles.
How does it explain her strength? Super strength, medical ninjutsu.
Right, the strength of 100 seal, too. The analysis stresses these aren't just gifts. They come from intense training, incredible chakra control. It represents growth through sheer effort.
Yeah, the source makes a point that she becomes this vital medical ninja, offering a different kind of strength. It also adds that touching detail about her Japanese voice actor crying when the series ended. Shows the investment.
Definitely. Then there's Hatake Kakashi, September 15th. The analysis pegs him as the classic mentor figure.
The cool, laid-back sensei.
Exactly. His lightning blade, his amazing Sharingan use, Kamui, the guide details all that.
Yeah.
But it really emphasizes his personality calm. Seems lazy, but he's deeply committed to his students.
In his face. The guide treats the mask almost like its own character element, right? Noting that fun fact that we only saw his full face in a bonus chapter at the very end.
Yeah, talk about a long game payoff for fans.
Totally. What about Shikamaru, the lazy genius?
Nara Shikamaru, September 22nd. Explored as the strategist. His shadow imitation techniques are perfect for his brainy combat style, the guide says.
Yeah, it highlights his massive IQ, 200 apparently, and that famous catchphrase, what a drag. He just wants things to be efficient, you know?
And interestingly, the source mentions Kishimoto apparently considered him his self-portrait character, which, might offer some insight into the creator's own thinking, maybe finding its way into the story.
Oh, that's cool. Hinata, the guide looks at her too.
Yuga Hinata, December 27th. Yeah, her gentle fist style, 8 trigrams, palms, all that is covered.
But the analysis focuses more on her personality, right?
Yeah.
Initially shy, but with this incredible inner strength.
Especially highlighted by her unwavering devotion to Naruto. The source argues she's this quiet but really powerful emotional anchor throughout the series.
Okay, and Gaara. He's a crucial early figure.
Gaara, January 19th. Analyzed as Naruto's early mirror image, almost, a foil. His sand powers are key, but the guide really focuses on that dramatic shift in him.
From killer to, changed.
Yeah, from someone who felt he only existed if he killed, to being fundamentally changed by encountering Naruto. The Torse uses his backstory, being controlled by his tailed beast, to contrast with Naruto, exploring different paths for these Jinchuriki characters, power of connection versus isolation.
Makes sense. And finally, Itachi. Such a complex one.
Uchiha Itachi, June 9th. His techniques are insane. Tsukuyomi Amaterasu, the legendary Totsuka blade.
Yeah.
The guide covers those. But the analysis really dissects his character arc.
Yeah, the guide points out how he seems totally evil at first, but then you find out about the deep brotherly love framing all his awful actions differently.
Exactly. And the source even mentions that urban legend that he planned his own death for Sasuke's sake, which the analysis uses to just hammer home the incredible depth and tragedy of the character.
Man, what a lineup. Okay, so these characters, they all operate within this defined power system. Chakra, jutsu. The guide breaks that down too, right?
Oh yeah, it spends time on the mechanics. Chakra is the core energy. The guide explains the basic nature transformations, fire, wind, lightning, earth, water, that ninjas specialize in.
Standard building blocks.
But then it gets way more advanced.
Yeah.
Things like yin release, yang release. The analysis really gets into Kekkei Genkai, those bloodline limits. They're often huge plot points tied to destiny, family.
And even rarer stuff like Kekkei Toda.
Right. And 6 paths Senjutsu is highlighted as like a peak form of power, blending in natural energy.
And the guide sorts the techniques. Ninjutsu, taijutsu.
Yeah, ninjutsu is your standard ninja stuff. Taijutsu is pure physical combat. Genjutsu is illusions. Then you have specialized things like sealing jutsu, cursed seal, summoning, and that really ethically murky reanimation jutsu.
The forbidden stuff.
Exactly. It also calls out specific big deal techniques. Senjutsu, Sage Mode, the eye powers like Rinnegan, Mangekyo Sharingan, Byakugan. Unique styles like wood style, sand style. The analysis makes the point that these aren't just for cool fights. They often mean something thematically, insight, willpower, legacy, that kind of thing.
And all this power exists in a specific world structure. The guide maps that out. The countries and villages.
Yep, structured around the 5 great shinobi countries. Fire, wind, lightning, water, earth. Each one has its own hidden ninja village.
Like the Hidden Leaf, Naruto's home, led by the Hokage.
Right, and the source analyzes the Hokage system as more than just leadership. It's like the embodiment of the village's spirit and strength. It's a symbol Naruto strives for.
And the history is messy. Lots of war.
Oh yeah. The guide details 4 great shinobi world wars. The analysis shows how these fights evolve, starting as village versus village, then escalating to involve the tailed beasts, these cycles of reincarnation, and eventually threats. They're basically gods. The stakes just keep rising.
Constantly questioning how to achieve peace.
And one interesting detail the guide points out is the Land of Iron. It's unique because it's ruled by samurai, not ninjas. the only big non-ninja nation, offering a different perspective on power in this world.
The world building is just incredibly dense. But okay, moving beyond the story and the mechanics, this guide also looks at the wider impact, right? Fan culture, theories, how massive it got globally.
Totally. The analysis of fan theories is really fun. The source mentions popular ones that actually turned out to be true, like the massive Toby is Obito theory. That dominated forums for years.
Oh man, I remember that. People were convinced. It also looks at symbolic theories, like the Akatsuki rings.
Yeah, the supposed meanings based on Eastern symbols. And crucially, the analysis discusses the huge fan theory that became actual canon. Naruto and Sasuke being reincarnations of the Sage of Six Paths' sons. It analyzes how that whole destiny versus free will, cyclical conflict idea plays into their story.
Right, and the guide even clarifies some fan debates, like Sakura's strength.
Exactly. Yeah. Explaining her crazy physical power isn't just training. It's specifically a result of applying her expert medical ninjutsu chakra control to her punches. A byproduct, basically.
That's a neat detail.
And that fun cultural note. Icha Paradise, Kakashi's favorite book in the series, it actually got published for real. A cool meta thing the source mentions.
Huh, brilliant. The guide also mentions the voice actors, their role.
Yeah, particularly for the anime. It notes how casting a woman for young Naruto was strategic, avoiding voice change issues later on. It also touches on how VAs sometimes get linked to the character's image, like Gaara's VA having a sort of mysterious vibe, or how the VAs for Sakura and Hinata are also musicians, adding another layer to their connection.
And the series just exploded beyond manga and anime, didn't it?
Yeah.
Games, merch.
Huge. The guide analyzes the popularity of game series like Ultimate Ninja, and especially the Ultimate Storm games. Sees them as really important ways for fans to keep experiencing the story.
And the merchandise reflects that global hunger. Figures, clothes.
Yeah, popular figure lines like Nendoroids, GEM, SH Figures, collaborations like the Unikilo shirts, even unique stuff like official scroll-style stationery or chakra-themed aroma oils.
And the analysis points out you could find this stuff everywhere overseas, right? Hot Topic, Crunchyroll store. The market clearly responded.
Which all feeds this massive fan culture the source explores. Cosplay is huge, obviously. Naruto, Sasuke, Kakashi, Itachi, Sakura, Hinata. You see them constantly at cons.
Yeah, the guide talks about the sheer scale of fan activity, social media stuff like people posting ninjutsu videos or that famous Naruto run meme.
Oh, yeah, the run.
And just the unbelievable volume of fan creations. Tens of thousands of fan art pieces, fan fiction stories on sites like Pixiv, DeviantArt, AO3. The analysis sees it as proof of how inspiring the series is.
And that overseas popularity left a real mark. That Naruto run thing became a genuine meme. It even showed up at real events like that Joe Area 51 raid thing. People actually did it.
Incredible. The analysis also notes it's used for more than just fun, right? Education, social stuff.
Yeah, recommended by US libraries, used to teach about Japanese culture, discuss moral lessons, even brought up in anti-bullying contexts. Shows its impact across the, 70-plus countries it was translated into?
So, okay. Bringing this whole deep dive back to the core analysis, the guide's final message really frames Naruto as a modern epic, doesn't it?
It really does. It argues that it grounds these huge universal themes: growth, loneliness, the strength you find in bonds, forgiveness, which is a tough one. It grounds all that in this unique ninja world.
And the source emphasizes why it connected globally. It's because you identify so strongly with Naruto's journey. You feel his struggles, his wins, his pain alongside him, from outcast to hero.
And it wraps up by recalling that iconic catchphrase, which the analysis highlights as resonating everywhere. My ninja way is to never go back on my word.
Such a simple line, but it captures his whole spirit, right? That resolve.
Exactly. A core theme the series really champions.
Looking at all this deep dive into the analysis guide, it really crystallizes why Naruto hit home for so many. It really makes you think. When you consider all these characters and their journeys, Naruto, Sasuke, Sakura, Itachi, Gaara, all of them, which character's ninja way, their personal code, do you connect with the most? And maybe, what does that say about your own path?